Hello again, everybody. This is Dr. Glenn. A little bit more of our question and answer series today. Happy to bring you some more information. And today's might be a little more controversial, but hey, if you got questions about it or you'd like to make statements about it, we'd love your comments or your questions. So please feel free to hit us up.
All right, so today's question is organic food really that beneficial?
This is a great question. I get asked this often. And I'll start with the good part of you thinking about organic food is that you're thinking about getting real food. And that I will say is always beneficial. Real food is a big key in helping us get healthier these days. We know for a fact that most of the stuff that's being sold to us is highly processed, that there's a lot of just garbage out there that's not even food. It is processed, chemical laden, overly done stuff in the middle of your grocery store, right? All those center aisles. And we've heard this, like it's becoming known now. We know that most of the stuff in our grocery stores sitting on shelves for long periods of time are predominantly now poison almost to us because of all the chemicals, the preservatives, the processes used to put them in their packaging. So the fact that people are questioning about organic food makes me happy. There comes the rub. What is organic? And to talk about that is what we really need to kind of try to understand. If you've got plenty of money and you can go out shopping and it just sounds nice for you to buy food because it's labeled organic, please feel free. If you can afford that for a family, or that's awesome. There's nothing wrong with buying organic food, but understand this. Organic is just a label. How organic something is dependent on a lot of factors. And just because a company is allowed to label it as organic because of their procedures doesn't mean that food is all that healthy. Organic chicken, great example. Here in the state of North Carolina, we have quite a few chicken farms. Chicken farming is very popular here. Calling a chicken organic is interesting. It's made of organic material, but how is it being raised? Is it being given certain shots? Can it still be organic if we gave it, say, antibiotics because there was a sickness spreading through a chicken farm? Yeah, that can still technically be labeled as organic once that antibiotic is past a 30-day time span. So there are regulations for these things. Can it still be penned up and not be free range, but be called organic? Absolutely. So it's still packed into a small area. The big part, what is it being fed? In the state of North Carolina, it's kind of hard to have free-range chickens all year. Our grass finally dies out, come along about end of October, early November, it stops growing. And so they're not really free-range chickens because they're not out eating just in the ranges. They're being fed grain. There's where we really get into stuff. If I have an animal that eats grain and I label it as organic, is the grain organic? I'll go ahead and tell you no. All of our grains and everything that we feed our cattle and our chicken, same with beef, by the way, when we feed these animals that grain, these are highly processed, very modified forms of food source for these animals. We know corn is genetically modified. We know the soy that they supplement that with is very genetically modified. We know they're grown under non-organic practices, and yet they're still ground up in that corn with its sweeteners and all the stuff that's added for chicken feed or cattle feed is not organic. So I have an animal that is organic, not raised always on all organic food. How about the water? Another great one. Okay, well maybe I don't, through my plants and with my fields, I don't spray. Maybe I don't use glyphosate or other chemicals that we know cause humans harm on my fields. But the stream that runs through my land comes from the farm next door. 2 farms next door, county up. And as that water comes downward, if all of them spray with all of these chemicals, then the water that I'm getting is also chemically laden with things of that nature. So we're looking at those kinds of things as well, even our rainwater. Well, you can say I have an all-organic farm and I don't use anything on it, but I guarantee you it rains on your farm. And if the guy county over uses a whole bunch of sprayed chemicals to keep his fields nice, to keep things growing, to enhance his field, when all of that evaporates up into our clouds and rains back down on your organic field, your organic stuff now is absorbing all of that non-organic material. So labeling is a big part of all of this. We really have to take into consideration how organic is the food we're buying. And that being said, if you've got plenty of money and you want to buy on that end, is it probably a little better than food that's sprayed directly? Absolutely. But if you're just trying to take care of a family of 5 and, cost is an issue, then just look into trying to buy real food. Just making sure that it's organic usually is not quite enough. So if you can find ways to just find good, healthy source food, if you can get food locally, all of that is really important if at all possible. The less we can stay out of the large corporate conglomerates that we know over chemical, over hormone, over antibiotic our food, the better. But as far as organic, it really comes down to, okay, what can I afford with my family? And I would much rather you go to the grocery store and be thinking about food, real food, even if it's vegetables right there at the local food line, Harris Teeter, et cetera, Publix, as opposed to having to go find an organic source, or those have an organic source and paying lots of dollars more. Consider it with your monetary considerations, consider it with your health concerns. Of course, if we've got plenty and we can afford to do those things, there's nothing wrong with it, but do understand that even the stuff we're consuming that's labeled so much better for us, oftentimes is only a little bit better. And that's really what it all comes down to. We want to just make the best healthy choices we can make, still remain within monetary considerations for our families and for what we're consuming. I myself personally don't go looking specifically for organic food, but I do try to eat real food. And I try to stay as healthy as possible within those ranges. And that's what it comes down to. So, or I get organic food is a question a lot of times, but do remember organic only means as much as they can do to keep certain things out, but there will always be compounds in our food, our air, our water that we cannot keep out of our food sources these days.